In this video, we're going to be talking about, was Peter in Rome? I went to a Protestant church once. I used to go visit many Protestant churches and just to see what they were like and discuss with people. And one of the pastors there gave me a free audio tape and I listened to it, and it was about why Catholicism was wrong. And one of the first things he said is that Peter was never in Rome. He said there is not a single shred of evidence anywhere in history that Peter was ever in Rome. So the fact that the Catholics claim that Peter was in Rome and there's the Roman Catholic Church and the papacy is there and all of that sort of thing, he says is all just false. And if Catholics are wrong on this sort of thing, then they're wrong about bigger things as well. And in fact, I have a book here, Roman Catholicism by Loraine Bettner, who is the godfather of anti-Catholicism. And he even says or claims that there is, in fact, no New Testament evidence nor any historical proof of any kind. Hear those words, no historical proof of any kind that Peter was ever in Rome. All rests upon legend. So in this video, we're not only going to be disproving these mythical claims, we're going to be showing absolutely with certainty that Peter was in Rome. I mean, even if Peter didn't go to Rome, it does not mean that he wasn't a pope. It does not mean that the Catholic Church is not true. But somehow Protestants think that just by making this claim, it somehow disproves the Catholic Church. But let's look at their claims and let's prove that Peter was in fact in Rome. And despite what Roman Catholicism, the book, says, we are going to see that all of the historical record and all of the earliest Christians and even non-Christians all claimed that Peter was in Rome, and nobody claimed that he went anywhere different. Hello everyone, welcome to Catholic Truth. Anyone from anywhere at any time from any religion can come here to know exactly what the Catholic Church teaches with clarity and truth and why and how it can change your life. If you would like a retreat or if you would like to follow us on social media or support our ministry on PayPal or Patreon, check all of that down below in the description section. Despite the many Protestant anti-Catholic claims that Peter was not in Rome, as we're going to see, he was in Rome, he lived there, he died there, he built up the church there, and every early Christian unanimously, and even non-Christian sources, say that Peter was in Rome, and nobody ever says that he went anywhere else. So in this video, we're going to see this clearly, and just so you don't take our word for it here, we are going to read many quotes to you so that you can see that people did believe that Peter was in Rome, and to see that people like Loraine Bettner and his Roman Catholicism, who say that there is literally no historical evidence anywhere, it's just totally and completely inaccurate. The first quote that we're going to read comes from St. Augustine, one of the most famous Christians in the whole 2,000-year history of the church. Here's what he says. "What has the chair of the Roman Church done to you, in which Peter sat and in which Anastasius sits today?" And then he goes on to say that Peter was succeeded by Linus and Cletus and Clement and Evaristus, and he gives all of the popes down to his present day, saying that they all sat in the chair of Rome, saying that the papacy was in Rome because Peter himself was in Rome. This next quote comes from the Liber Pontificalis from the 4th century, which is the oldest history of the papacy that we have. And here's what it says. "At the same time, Constantine built, by request of Sylvester the bishop, the Basilica of Blessed Peter, the Apostle, in the shrine of Apollo, and laid there the coffin with the body of Holy Peter, the coffin itself which was enclosed on all sides with bronze." So the oldest history of the papacy that we have in existence to date says that Peter not only was in Rome, but died there and is buried there under St. Peter's Basilica at the Vatican. Jerome, who everybody knows and is famous for putting the Bible together, he says this. "Simon Peter, the son of John, pushed on to Rome in the 2nd year of Claudius to overthrow Simon Magus and held the sacerdotal chair there for 25 years, until at last, that is the 14th year of Nero. At his hands he received the crown of martyrdom, being nailed to the cross with his head downward, to the ground and his feet raised on high, asserting that he was unworthy to be crucified in the same manner as our Lord. The next quote comes from Cyril of Jerusalem, who is the bishop of Jerusalem. Listen to what he says. Simon Magus so deceived the city of Rome that Claudius erected a statue of him. And while the error was extending itself, Peter and Paul arrived, a noble pair of the rulers of the church, and they set the error aright. So far, we have found zero evidence that Peter was in Rome, not a shred. But you know what? We're going to keep on plugging. We're going to keep pushing on. We're going to keep trying to find some evidence for Peter in Rome. So let's look at Peter of Alexandria in 306 AD. He says this. Peter, the first chosen apostle, having been apprehended often and thrown into prison and treated with ignominy, at last was crucified in Rome. Paul was even himself put to the sword and beheaded in the same city. So he, so far like everybody else, has said that Peter and Paul were both in Rome and crucified there under Nero. All the historical circumstances and all the historical claims of these earliest Christians agree. Eusebius, the historian, who has the earliest surviving account of the history of the early church, he even says that Peter was in Rome along with Paul and that he died there. Listen to what he said. Peter, at last having come to Rome, where he was crucified head downwards in the manner in which he himself thought it fitting to suffer. After the martyrdom of Peter and Paul, Linus was the first appointed to the episcopacy at the Church of Rome. And he goes on to say that Peter, after he established the church in Antioch, is sent to Rome, where he remains as the bishop of that city, preaching the gospel for 25 years. And listen to what Gaius says, who's a Roman presbyter. It is therefore recorded that Paul was beheaded in Rome itself, and that Peter likewise was crucified under Nero. This account of Peter and Paul is substantiated by the fact that their names are preserved in the cemeteries of that place even unto the present day. And it is likewise confirmed by Caius, a member of the Roman Church, who arose under Zephyrinus, who is the bishop of Rome. So this is a Roman presbyter saying that Peter was in Rome, and substantiated by archaeology and by other witnesses who were alive then as well. I mean, this is a lot of evidence. So much for Lorraine Bettner in his book Roman Catholicism, which says there's literally no history whatsoever. It's all legend and there's nothing credible going on. When in fact, everyone has said that Peter was in Rome, even non-Catholics. Here's another non-Catholic. This comes from Macarius Magnus, who is a pagan source. He says this, notwithstanding, this fine fellow was overpowered in Rome, and beheaded. He who said that we should judge even angels, even as Peter had received the right to feed the lambs, was fastened to the cross and crucified. So this man says that Peter was crucified as well. In fact, Tertullian also, who was in 211 AD, writing in 211 AD, says that he died under Nero and was fastened to the cross. And even before him, Clement of Alexandria, writing in 200 AD. And even before him, Irenaeus of Lyons, Bishop of Lyon, Catholic Bishop of Lyon, who was a follower of Polycarp, who himself was a follower of St. John the Apostle. So as John the Apostle followed Jesus, Polycarp followed John. And since he was a kid, Irenaeus followed Polycarp. So he knew the person who knew the apostles themselves. And he says this. He says Peter and Paul were evangelizing in Rome and laying the foundations of the church. We shall confound by pointing out the succession of bishops of the greatest and most ancient church known to all, founded and organized in Rome by the two most glorious apostles, Peter and Paul, that church which has the tradition and the faith coming to us from the apostles. Wow! I mean, Irenaeus is one of the earliest sources you can get and one of the most credible sources you can get. He was the one fighting all of the earliest heretics and heresies in the early church. And he says that both Peter and Paul were not only in Rome, but built up the church there and died there. Even the Columbia Encyclopedia says that Peter went to Rome, built up the church there, and, resided there. So we have an encyclopedia. We have Catholics. We have the earliest Christians, the unanimous consent of the earliest Christians. We have non-Christians, presbyters, and pagan sources as well. We have historians speaking of this as well. So not only is there evidence, overwhelming, abundant evidence that Peter was in Rome, but all of them unanimously agree that he was in Rome and built up the church there and reigned there for 25 years and died there. So where, I pray tell, does Lorraine Bettner get off saying that there is literally no historical evidence that Peter was in Rome? Really? All the historical evidence says that Peter is in Rome. And in fact, whole books have been written on the evidence that has come out since this old book was written, proving that Peter was in Rome, that his bones are buried under St. Peter's Basilica. And there's even a book called The Bones of St. Peter, if that fascinates you and you would like to read about all the historical evidence that has been found in that regard. And in regard to the Bible, some people say that Peter, is never mentioned about going to Rome. He is never said to have gone to Rome. And that is possibly true, but the opposite is also true. It never says that he doesn't go to Rome. I mean, if he said that Peter never went to Rome, he spent the rest of his life in Jerusalem, okay, you might have a case. But the reality is that the Bible does not give a lot of information neither about Peter or about the other apostles, where they went after the resurrection and the ascension of Jesus. Yes, we know that they went different places, but we don't know because the Bible doesn't go into great detail about any of them. And it's all the historical early sources that have told us where they went. And we know where they went because of the earliest Christians and passing down the traditions of where the apostles went, how they came down to us, the churches they started, the histories they led, and that sort of thing. The Bible really doesn't give a lot of information on it. But Peter does say in 1 Peter 5:13 that he's greeting, and he's writing a greeting, but he says that the church here in Babylon, united with God's election, sends you her greetings, and so does my son Mark. So people say that Peter was writing from Rome, but he doesn't say it's Rome. He uses a code word, Babylon, which is used over and over and over and over and over again throughout Scripture to refer to Rome. It was a commonly used name to refer to Rome in secret so that they didn't get persecuted, especially if the leader of the Christian church, which was already being persecuted, the leader of the Christian church was going there. He was doing it unanimously, saying that I'm here in Babylon, aka Rome, to build up the church, and we send you greetings. So there is some evidence that Peter was in Rome in the Bible, but even if there wasn't, there's no evidence against it, and all the historical evidence is for it, which is why anti-Catholics never quote any historical sources that say Peter went somewhere else or spent the rest of his days somewhere else or that he died head down somewhere else. No, they all say he died under Nero. It's unanimous. And only someone who is intellectually honest could come to that conclusion. And no one who is intellectually honest could come to a conclusion that's different without completely and totally ignoring the historical record. Thank you so much for watching. Please, if you like this video, please, if you haven't subscribed to our channel and like this video, if you like it, then like it and leave a comment down below and share it. Get the good news out there. So many attacks on the Catholic Church. We need to start evangelizing back. We need to start sharing the good news back, and we need to start answering people's questions. So please help us to get this video out there by sharing it, liking, and commenting. All of these things help make the videos more popular so more people see them and so more people can have their lives changed by the truth that will set them free. If you would like to check out our notes below, please do. Please consider supporting our ministry. $10 a month, $25 a month, $50, $100 a month. We need so many people, and we only exist by your charity. Our organization is growing so fast, and we need you to continue helping us grow and reaching the world. People in over 50 different countries who say that they don't have a lot of apologetics. They don't have a lot of Catholicism being built up in their life, so we help people around the world. And also check out our social media below. Feel free to follow us for daily inspiration and bring us to your church, a confirmation retreat, parish mission, apologetic seminars for a day or for a weekend. Bring us to your church. We would love to help inspire and build up your parish. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless.